Hi, I'm Spider, and I'm back for the second session to present my CFL Red Zone Rule presentation that I presented to the CFL on January 31st, 2018. Here's my partner, Jarrett, and he's going to be involved in my presentation. So remember that I was only allowed to do this over the phone to make the presentation, so I had to write it. So I didn't have the luxury of making the presentation in front of them in a boardroom where I had a PowerPoint and video illustration, so it was a tough one. So we're going to present it the way it was basically presented to them over the phone by me, okay? So here we go, okay? So I gave you the CFL layout agenda prior in my first session. So this is the presentation, and the first part is the finished product and final rules of the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule. CFL teams in offense will have to scrimmage the football on third down every time they are on or inside the opposition's 20-yard line in the red zone, playing exciting CFL three-down football at its best to score touchdowns in the red zone. CFL teams using the second version of the CFL Red Zone rule would be able to still keep the drive going in the red zone to get a first down in the red zone as well, which is no different than the current rules now in the CFL. If a CFL team chooses to play three-down football in the red zone to score a touchdown, other than now it would be enforced with the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule. And with the second version of the CFL Red Zone rule, if a CFL team is stopped on third down in the red zone, maintaining possession of the ball and not forced outside the red zone on third down, then a CFL team still gets rewarded with a CFL Red Zone kick for getting in the red zone and staying in the red zone on third down, but not from where the stop was made on third down in the red zone, because it would be just another boring, predictable, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goal, but instead a much more challenging rewarded CFL kick from the 35-yard line, where a CFL team can still come up with 3 points, but not an automatic 3 points, which also complements the second version of the CFL Red Zone rule and adds a lot more excitement and drama to the new proposed CFL Red Zone rule, and at the same time still preserves that three-down game. Because the CFL team cannot fake it and try to go for a touchdown, because that would be four-down football. They have to kick the CFL Red Zone kick from the 35-yard line, which would be actually kicked from the 42-yard line when you add the 7 yards. If a CFL team with the ball on third down in the red zone is intercepted, then the same current CFL rules would apply, and the same on a fumble, and on first and second down if there is a turnover in the red zone. The same optional CFL rules would also apply if the team with the ball is forced outside the red zone on third down, preventing the CFL Red Zone kick, to where the team on defense would get the ball on offense, either from their own 35 or they opt to receive a punt return. In overtime, the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule would fully apply along with the attached CFL Red Zone kick, and so would the two-point convert. Optional provision part of the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule. If a CFL team in the last 10 seconds of the game has the ball in the red zone and stays in the red zone on first, second, and third down using the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule, they would be able to opt to kick the CFL Red Zone kick from the 35-yard line for 3 points to win the game or to tie the game and force it into overtime. The CFL would have to apply it to the last 10 seconds of both halves of the game, or have it applied to only the last 10 seconds of the game. The optional provision part of the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule would not apply to the current CFL overtime format because there is no clock. Personally, and remember this is optional, I personally like it best to play out on its own myself without the optional provision part. Now we're going to go into the main objectives and features and benefits and advantages of the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule. Main objective is to increase offense and touchdowns being scored for majors in the red zone in the CFL, which it will do by astonishingly completely eliminating all the undesirable second down stops in the red zone and replace them with more exciting touchdowns being scored in the red zone in the CFL. And as well, it will remarkably completely eliminate all the boring, predictable, distasteful, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goals in the red zone or slightly outside the red zone, depending where the second down stop is made in the red zone. And from a fan's perspective, a second down in the red zone is even more disappointing than a 2-and-out because it's magnified and even a bigger letdown because fans witness another predictable, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goal rather than an exciting touchdown being scored in the red zone in the CFL. And because of only having 3 downs, or basically 2 downs in the CFL to get a first down, to keep drives going, to score touchdowns in the red zone, it's even more discouraging and unrewarding and unsatisfying for the fans and players, especially when you see CFL teams consistently, even on the 5-yard line, when stopped on second down in the red zone, refuse to go for it on third down and instead kick another monotonous, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goal that is almost the same as the former basically automatic single-point convert kick, which all will disappear with the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule. Now I hand it over to my partner, Jared, for number 4.
CFL fans will only witness more kicking resulting from 2-and-outs, only between the 20-yard lines, which represents only 63% of a CFL playing field from the goal lines, and on the most crucial part of a CFL field in the red zones, representing 37% of a CFL playing field from the goal lines. Second down stops will not exist.
Number 5.
CFL teams will be more competitive and more successful offensively, and football fans, rather than seeing CFL games with low scoring and with the majority of points and field goals, CFL fans and football and sports fans in general will be able to watch a more exciting brand of CFL 3-down football with more touchdowns being scored. And with the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule, CFL fans will see a lot more explosive big passing plays because CFL teams on offense will want to get in the red zone to play exciting CFL 3-down football to score touchdowns, knowing if they are stopped on third down, still maintaining possession of the ball, not forced outside the red zone on third down, they will still be rewarded with the CFL red zone kick.
Number 7.
As well, with the second version of the CFL red zone rule, you will see CFL teams go for it more on third down near the red zone, and to play exciting CFL 3-down football in the red zone, which will also reduce 2-and-outs.
Number 8.
The second version of the CFL red zone rule will also add a lot of excitement, drama to our CFL 3-down game defensively as well, because it would create opportunity for a big defensive play on third down to prevent a touchdown from being scored in the red zone, and even a bigger defensive play. If a CFL team on defense forces the team with the ball on offense on third down in the red zone, outside the red zone, preventing the CFL red zone kick. Now I'll pass it back over to Spider for a real big one.
Thank you, Jared. Great job. Number 10. Here's something you really have to concentrate on these numbers. They're unbelievable. The average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams in the 2017 CFL regular season was 54.8%. And a third of the 9 CFL teams are under 50%, and 2/3 of 9 CFL teams are under the average of 54.8%. And 1 CFL team barely over the average of only 56.3%, and only 2 above 60%. 1 at 64.7% and 1 at 71.9%. And out of a total of 516 attempts in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams during the 2017 regular CFL season, there were 283 touchdowns in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams for an average of 54.8%. But with the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule, there would be a probable and realistic and consistent and obtainable increase of 20 to 25%, resulting in a 65.8 to a 68.5 of an average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams in a completed regular CFL season. Meaning on an average of 65.8%, there would be 339 touchdowns scored in the red zone, 56 more touchdowns in the red zone for a total of 224 more points if all the single point converts were successful. And at a 68.5% of an average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams, there would be 353 touchdowns scored in the red zone, 70 more touchdowns in the red zone for a total of 280 more points if all the single point converts were successful. The second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule will deliver and favorably increase a more respectful average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams. What a phenomenal, and what's also phenomenal about the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule is that it cannot be stolen by the NFL, because it simply and unequivocally would not work with 4-down football, but will work naturally and perfectly with 3-down football, like it was meant for and tailor-made for CFL 3-down football. And it would solely belong to the CFL and not the NFL. And at the same time, it would still remarkably preserve our CFL 3-down game. The second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule will really put a real signature on our CFL 3-down game and really put real emphasis on our 3rd down and give our 3rd down real prominence and a real purpose and meaning. That completes the main objectives and features the benefits and advantages of my second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule. Now go into the business side and opportunities in marketing and new branding of the second version of my proposed new CFL red zone rule. Number one, the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule will create new business opportunities and new revenue streams for the CFL, in new branding, in new CFL merchandise sales, and in new CFL red zone rule and CFL red zone kick sponsorship tag sales. The CFL would be able to really cash in and capitalize on such an outstanding new CFL rule name that puts the spotlight on our 3rd down game and our 3rd down. That's associated with probably one of the most important and recognizable terms in football, that being the red zone, which is so notably synonymous with football, which the CFL would own in the new rule name and can put a trademark on. The CFL field could be highlighted to display and put a spotlight on the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule by outlining the white 20-yard line in red on the CFL field, and by highlighting the number 20 in red in both red zones, like the diagram in front on the monitor. The CFL and their marketing and branding team could really jazz up the new CFL red zone rule and the CFL red zone kick with new brands and logos to look sensational and stunning that would really grab you and draw you in to buy new CFL red zone rule merchandise. And as well, TSN and HD could jazz up their coverage by using and displaying striking eye-catching CFL red zone rule graphics on the 20-yard line in the red zone. TSN also in HD could display an eye-catching CFL red zone kick graphic in their coverage, both with sponsorship tags attached to generate more revenue for the CFL. Now I'll give it over to Jarrett. Number 6.
And what the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule would do for a new CFL video game would be unbelievable and super exciting, because it would make a new CFL video game so much more innovative and so much more exciting to play with incredible outstanding graphics. That would also make a new CFL video game more attractive to buy, which would generate a lot more sales for the CFL. And the excitement and drama of the second version of the proposed CFL red zone rule would create a CFL game live in the red zone and on HD would be spectacular and super exciting for CFL fans, and for all sports fans, and for all the younger generation sports fans in Canada and around the sports world.
You go to number 12 now?
No, it's you on 10.
I'm on what?
Number 10.
Oh, number 10, sorry. Thanks, Jared. Number 10, closing key selling points. The second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule is exact and perfect injection our CFL 3-down game needs, that presents itself loud and clear every single CFL game, that literally is staring the CFL right in the eye, just waiting to be adopted by the CFL, because the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule does it all and is perfectly suited and naturally tailor-made for CFL 3-down football. And when you have someone as prominent in sports is Steve Armitage, who has done 27 Grey Cups, who I last surveyed, fascinated by it, and has given it his stamp approval. You know you have something big. And then have Steve Armitage tell you that the CFL has to recognize and acknowledge that they are competing in a very highly competitive sports world today, and they must realize that they are selling entertainment and excitement, which Mr. Armitage said is exactly what my second version of my proposed new CFL Red Zone rule does, and said that it would unquestionably make our three-down game a lot more entertaining and a lot more exciting and a lot more attractive brand of CFL three-down football to watch and be part of. And by overwhelming response from the hundreds of people I surveyed who were all captivated by it and sold on it big time, truly indicates how valuable the second version of my proposed new CFL Red Zone really is, which is equally important for the CFL to acknowledge as well and to recognize its credible, enriching upside and recognize the importance of making it part of our CFL three-down game. And you can be reassured when it's professionally presented and fully exposed to all CFL fans and to all the younger generation sports fans and all the NFL-only fans in Canada and all the CFL players, that they too will be blown away and really sold on it, because it's the only new CFL rule that can possibly do what it can do. Jared, number 12.
The main goal and the main objective in the game of football is crossing the goal line when a football team has the ball for a touchdown. Because football fans go to football games to see touchdowns scored, not repetitive second down stops in the red zone, resulting in more predictable, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goals. And no football fan wants to see, especially in a three-down football game. Just like hockey, fans go to see hockey games to see lots of exciting goals scored, not 0-0 ties or 1-1 ties. And that's exactly what football fans will see with the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule. More exciting touchdowns being scored. And it will also be beneficial for the development of minor league and high school and college football in Canada. And you will now see minor league and high school football programs in Canada all playing CFL three-down football and wearing CFL team-colored jerseys, and not playing American four-down football in our own country wearing NFL jerseys, which will really promote our brand of CFL three-down football in Canada.
The CFL needs, and with the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule, the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages, because there are way too many compelling key features and benefits and too many strong, convincing, justifiable advantages from both the entertainment and the business side of our CFL three-down game to prove why it should be made part of our CFL three-down game. The CFL needs not only survive, the CFL needs to not only survive, it needs to strive. And that's precisely what the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule will do for our CFL three-down game, and make it soar and roar throughout CFL stadiums and take our three-down game to a whole new level. And if the second version of the proposed new CFL Red Zone rule is adopted by the CFL, it would create a tremendous amount of excitement and buzz around CFL three-down football like never before. It would be phenomenal, and the biggest thing that ever happened to our CFL three-down game. And what a huge selling feature to sell CFL three-down football, and what a story for the CFL to tell and sell. The CFL, you wanted to do something big? Well, this would be doing something big. Can you imagine the promo and the launch the CFL could do, and the incredible headlines like the new bold CFL, featuring the biggest and most innovative and most entertaining and most exciting new CFL rule in CFL history, and in all professional football that's full of drama, introducing the new super exciting, naturally tailor-made for CFL three-down football, SPYDER'S CFL Red Zone rule, complemented by the new compatible CFL Red Zone kick. Come and be part of it. And I can guarantee you, the CFL won't know what to do. And, I can guarantee you the NFL won't know what to do. And the NFL will be definitely scrambling and spinning, because our three-down will be more impactful and be more powerful and have more focus on it, and be a more valuable and more important down, be a much more exciting down than their fourth down. Because if adopted by the CFL, the second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule will become the biggest and most innovative and most dramatic and most exciting and most entertaining and most powerful and most significant new rule in CFL history and in all professional football. And for my close, bottom line, most importantly, from the business side and what it will do for our CFL 3-down game. The second version of the proposed new CFL red zone rule will substantially increase the CFL fan base and instantly attract the younger generation of sports fans and gravitate all the NFL-only fans in Canada to our 3-down game, who the CFL needs as CFL fans. And it will significantly increase attendance throughout the CFL and in major markets, and considerably increase the CFL's viewership audience, and notably increase season ticket sales throughout the CFL and generate a lot more revenue for the CFL and their owners. That is the presentation basically we made to the CFL. There's only one other thing I wanted to go over, was the 18% guarantee that I presented to them on the numbers. This is a very important footnote. So based on the current average percentage touchdown scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams in the 2017 season, regular season of 54.8%, if you take 58.8% and multiply by 33% based on an increase of 1 down in the red zone, you get 18%. You get an 18% of touchdown conversions in the red zone. Then multiply 54.8% by 18% equals 64.9%, which would guarantee an increase of the current average percentage of 54.8% to an average of 64.9% of an average percentage of touchdowns scored in the red zone amongst 9 CFL teams in a regular CFL season, resulting in 50 more touchdowns scored in the red zone for a total of 200 more points, making a 20 to 25% increase very probable and obtainable. And that's guaranteed at 18% based on their average percentage of last year of 54.8%, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So that basically concludes my presentation. I wanted to say that at the end of my presentation I made to Mr. Ambrosi, and I was also Mr. Maychuk, he was an executive staff member, and Ryan Jensen, who was Senior Director of Football Operations. I had a promise, well actually the Commissioner of the CFL made a promise to me that he would definitely really look at everything involved in my presentation and evaluate it properly, all the features and benefits, all the advantages of the role, the business side, the entertainment side of it, entertainment value of my CFL Red Zone rule, and weigh all of it, and evaluate it properly and assess it properly, and before they made their final decision. And he also promised me that he would use Jeff Hunt's pros and cons theory. So that means if the pros outweigh the cons, he would go with my new CFL Red Zone rule, and if the cons outweigh the pros, he would not. But he said he would take the necessary time to assess it, and also I sent a PDF file to what they asked me to, and they said they would send me questions back to review it, because they struggled with it. Actually, it's funny, they struggle understanding it. Ryan and the Commissioner, which I'll get into in my second session, my third final session. But that completes it, and we're going to sign off, and maybe I'll have a schooner beer now, okay? What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
Crack her open. Boom. This is for Mike Riley.